Good morning, members. Here we are again. So I'm Amanda, and I would like to run through a few little bits of information. We're going to start today with a very basic video on seed raising and transplanting of bromeliads and bromeliads, echmeas, some different hybrids that have been created over the past couple of years, and we're going to move them into their seedling trays in preparation to feed them and grow them over the next couple of years. There are thousands of bromeliads in front of me here, and this represents several months of nighttime hybridization of Alcantarias in the evening, from ranging around midnight to 2 a.m. in the morning, every night, several nights, crossing over different pollens that have been stored to create lots and lots of different new hybrids, with the aim of creating very sun-tolerant red hybrids that are specifically needed for our environment where we are, which is in the southeast part of Queensland, Australia, where it gets very hot during summer normally. At the moment, we've been experiencing La Nina now for a couple of years, and so our property's gone from drought to flood. And so our plants are changing quite a lot. But that being said, we will go back into drought, and by the time these plants mature, they're going to need to be toughened and ready for it. So what we're going to start with is my basic mix. This is a mix that I personally use. Anyone can use their own mix, whichever is suitable to their environment. If you're a very arid area, you may need some additional peat or cocoa fibre or some vermiculite, those types of things. Where we are, we do fairly well with a fairly open drainage mix. Alcantarias in particular are big feeders. They are a big plant, and so they need to be fed very often. Every third month I feed mine when it comes to the young plants, up until the time when they reach approximately 2 years, 3 years. So they're about 8 leaf stage by that time. Up until that point, when we're looking at an Neoregelia or an Alcant, for these ones in particular, these little guys here, these are the ones that I hybridized way back in December of 2021, and so we're now in July of 2022. It took 9 months or so for the seeds to ripen. They were then prepared, planted and sown, and this is the trays of them. These are grexes, and what a grex is when I produce a pollen parent and a seed parent, and I put the two together and I create a seed, that seed then becomes the grex. Now, all of the seedlings from that particular crossing contain a grex name or a grex code. Now, individual plants from the grex can be selected later on for different traits, and they can be named separately. They will still be siblings of the original grex. However, each plant will have its own name. So if I was, for example, to name Queenslander, which I've done outside, which is a grex from a Divine Plum hybrid that was done several years ago, 12 years ago, that particular plant that I have growing outside, I have named Queenslander. Now, every pup that comes from that plant is Queenslander. Every other plant from that grex, and there were thousands of them, every other plant is not Queenslander. It is the sibling of Queenslander. So that just makes it very clear when it comes to selling on plants that the one plant that I have selected individually and registered through the BCR under the correct way to go about doing it, that is Queenslander, and that is Queenslander alone. So if you happen to have a grex with the same parentage, you don't name it Queenslander, okay? That's not how this works. That's the correct way to do it. Other people will jump on board and they will then use my Queenslander name and my standing, I suppose, when it comes to creating that plant and that particular plant's qualities, and they will sell it as a Queenslander. So you will be getting a fraudulent plant. You will be getting a sibling. Let's start from the beginning, and we've done the hybridization. We'll deal with that part later on as we approach Christmas and we start to hybridize once again. I'll redo those videos and explain how that's done. For now, we're going to transplant into their seedling mix. So behind me, I have the products that I like to use, and as I said, they're ones that I like to use.